Every soul who steps into the arena of life carries within them a seed of greatness. The world may call it talent, skill, or luck, but the true essence of a champion is something far deeper. It is the unwavering faith in the unseen, the courage to speak the word of victory, and the joy of seeing every obstacle as a stepping stone rather than a wall. A champion's legacy is not measured by trophies, medals, or applause. It is measured by the lives they touch, the inspiration they awaken, and the principles they leave behind. Understand this: every thought you think, every word you speak, carries a power beyond measure. When a champion rises, they rise not by the strength of their arms alone, but by the steadfastness of their inner vision. They see themselves victorious, not just once, but continually, in every challenge they face. The law of life is simple: what you affirm and believe, you will manifest. A champion does not speak of doubt, they speak of triumph. They do not entertain fear, they cultivate courage. They do not measure themselves against others, they measure themselves against the highest version of who they can be. The world will test you. Life will place hurdles in your path, seemingly insurmountable mountains of difficulty. But remember this: every obstacle is an invitation to rise higher, to call forth the divine within you, to anchor your faith in the infinite source of good that flows through all things. The true champion knows that failure is not final, it is a lesson, a guide, a teacher revealing the way forward. And so, they move with grace, they act with confidence, and they speak with conviction, knowing that the invisible forces are conspiring in their favor. A champion's legacy is not merely in the victories of the day, but in the vision they leave behind for others to follow. It is in the courage that inspires a friend, the generosity that uplifts a stranger, the unwavering commitment to truth, integrity, and love that echoes long after they are gone. Every time you align with your highest self, you leave a trail of light. Every time you speak words of affirmation, every time you act in faith rather than fear, you create a ripple that will influence generations. Remember, your life is a canvas, and you are the artist. The strokes of fear, doubt, or procrastination may seem tempting, but the champion chooses colors of confidence, joy, and faith. They paint a picture of triumph so vivid that even the unseen realms respond to it. The world cannot help but recognize the energy of victory when it is born from a heart that trusts the divine order of life. Every act of courage, every word of truth, every thought of hope becomes a brick in the foundation of your immortal legacy. Speak the word of victory daily. Affirm that your life is filled with abundance, that every challenge brings you closer to your highest good, that you are guided and protected in all your endeavors. Let your faith be stronger than your fear. Let your hope be brighter than the darkness that sometimes surrounds you. Know that the universe responds not to wishful thinking, but to the conviction of your spirit, to the clarity of your vision, and to the unwavering declaration that you are a champion, destined to leave a legacy of greatness. The legacy of a champion is a reflection of the soul's alignment with truth. It is born in the quiet moments of prayer, in the firm decisions made when no one is watching, in the selfless acts of kindness that ripple beyond comprehension. It is an inheritance of inspiration, a gift to the world that transcends time and circumstance. When you claim your power, when you speak the word that affirms your greatness, you ignite a flame that cannot be extinguished. That flame is your legacy. That flame is the mark of a champion. Every day is a new opportunity to build that legacy. Every choice, every thought, every action adds to the monument of your life. And remember, you are never alone. The unseen forces, the divine intelligence, and the universal flow of good are always at your back, guiding your steps, opening doors, and bringing into alignment every opportunity that matches your vision. Rise, therefore, in the full consciousness of your greatness. Declare your victory, embody your purpose, and let every day be a testament to the power of faith in action. Let your life shine as a beacon of possibility for others, a living proof that a champion is not merely someone who wins, but someone who inspires, uplifts, and leaves a mark that eternity itself will remember. There is a power within each soul that transcends circumstance, a power that is often overlooked because it is invisible to the eyes and intangible to the senses. Yet it is the very force that shapes destiny and determines the path of a champion. This power is the power of faith, the power of vision, the divine law that responds to the clarity of thought and the certainty of belief. A champion understands intuitively that the first victory is always within, that the battles fought in the mind and heart set the stage for triumphs in the external world. Before any action is taken, before any skill is demonstrated, before any trophy is held or recognition is given, the champion affirms in the unseen realms the reality they desire, and in doing so, sets the universal forces into alignment. Faith is not a passive wish, it is an active declaration of what is already accomplished in the spiritual dimension. It is the knowing, the unwavering certainty that what is desired is already on its way, and that all conditions and circumstances are but mirrors reflecting the power of belief. When a champion begins each day, they begin not with doubt, not with hesitation, but with a clear vision of victory. They speak to themselves in words of power, affirming their ability, their resilience, and the inevitability of success. These affirmations are not idle repetition. They are the seeds of manifestation, planting in the fertile soil of the mind the blueprint of achievement. Every thought, every feeling, every word spoken with conviction sends a vibration into the universal consciousness, and the law of life, exact and unerring, responds to the clarity and intensity of that vibration. A champion does not wait for the world to acknowledge them. They acknowledge themselves, for recognition from without is temporary, but recognition from within is eternal and unshakable. This internal acknowledgement, the deep knowing that they are capable, worthy, and destined to succeed, becomes the foundation upon which every achievement is built. The mind of a champion is a garden of carefully tended thoughts. Doubt and fear are recognized for what they are: unproductive weeds, and are removed with conscious effort. Optimism, confidence, and unwavering faith are cultivated like the richest soil, nurturing every intention until it bears fruit. Vision is the sunlight that energizes the garden, illuminating every possibility and revealing the paths that others may overlook. A champion sees not only what is, but what could be, and this ability to envision the unseen is the differentiator between those who achieve greatness and those who merely dream of it. Vision is not a vague hope. It is a precise, detailed picture of the desired outcome. The champion knows the importance of clarity in their vision, for the universal forces respond not to general wishes but to exact directions. They imagine themselves in the full experience of success, feeling the emotions, sensing the details, and living in the consciousness of the outcome even before it manifests in the physical world. This practice of mental creation, of visualizing the end result, activates the law of life in a manner that is unstoppable. Every challenge encountered along the way is seen as a confirmation that the vision is real and necessary. The champion does not allow temporary setbacks to shake their inner conviction, for they understand that what is real in the unseen will inevitably take form in the seen. In fact, obstacles are often interpreted as signposts, indicators that one is moving along the correct path, for the universe will never present a barrier that is greater than the ability to overcome it. Faith, therefore, is not blind. It is informed by experience, strengthened by intention, and sharpened by the clarity of the vision it serves. A champion consistently reminds themselves that the outer world is merely a reflection of the inner world. Circumstances do not create reality. Belief does. The great secret that every champion discovers, sooner or later, is that their own mind is the most powerful instrument in existence. The thoughts they nurture, the words they speak, the images they hold within themselves, these are the architects of destiny. To think in alignment with fear is to attract limitation. To think in alignment with faith is to attract abundance. The champion, therefore, guards the mind with vigilance, refusing to entertain negative chatter or doubtful influences. They surround themselves with uplifting energy, with people, books, and environments that reinforce the power of vision and the certainty of success. Each morning is a renewal, a conscious reaffirmation of faith, a declaration that no circumstance can shake the inner conviction of the soul. In moments of trial, when the storms of life rage and the temptation to doubt is strong, the champion turns inward, seeking the still voice of truth that reminds them of the eternal law. What is believed and affirmed in spirit will manifest in matter. This unwavering trust, this deliberate alignment of thought and feeling with the highest vision of oneself, is the secret of their strength. Action, of course, is necessary, but action alone is powerless without the guidance of vision and the certainty of faith. The champion moves with deliberate intent, guided not by impulse or reaction, but by the inner picture of the completed goal. Every step is measured, every effort purposeful, and every decision made in accordance with the principle that the unseen precedes the seen. Patience becomes a natural companion to faith, for the champion knows that divine timing governs the unfolding of every plan. There is no need to force or manipulate. The law operates with perfect intelligence, and all that is necessary is to hold the vision, maintain the belief, and act in harmony with the inspired nudges of intuition. Gratitude becomes a vital part of the process, for the champion gives thanks not only for the blessings already received but also for those that are on their way. Gratitude strengthens faith, amplifies the vibration of vision, and opens the heart to receive the abundance that is the natural reward of unwavering belief. The champion also recognizes that their vision is never solely for themselves. There is a greater good inherent in every true achievement, and their success becomes a channel for inspiration, for guidance, and for empowerment of others. The power of faith and vision is not a selfish pursuit. It is a divine alignment with the highest potential of life, a collaboration with the universal intelligence that delights in seeing a human being rise to their fullest expression. In this understanding, the champion experiences a profound peace, a deep inner satisfaction that arises not from the outcome but from the consistent alignment with truth. They know that the victory is already theirs because it exists in the eternal realm of spirit, and their daily task is simply to maintain the connection, to act in faith, and to speak the word of power that calls forth the manifestation of the vision. The words they use are carefully chosen, for the law of life is sensitive to every vibration. They speak in terms of abundance, health, joy, courage, and success. They avoid words of limitation, doubt, or despair. They understand that language is a bridge between the inner and outer worlds, and that each affirmation is a tool of creation. The champion is also aware that vision without discipline is incomplete. Faith must be married to consistent effort, not frantic striving, but a deliberate, steady movement toward the goal, always guided by the clarity of vision and the certainty of belief. They work with persistence, patience, and precision, knowing that every inspired act, no matter how small, contributes to the unfolding of the greater picture. They see setbacks as temporary delays, not permanent defeats, and they adjust their strategies without ever altering their core belief in the eventual triumph. In times of uncertainty, the champion's inner vision acts as a lighthouse, guiding their decisions, calming their fears, and providing the unshakable assurance that the law of life is at work, orchestrating every detail, aligning every circumstance, and bringing the invisible into the visible according to the blueprint of faith. This is the essence of a champion's power, the conscious alignment of mind, heart, and spirit with the vision of victory, the unwavering faith that life responds to clarity and conviction, and the deliberate use of thought and word to create a reality that reflects the greatness already existing within. Every champion understands that the outer world is but a mirror of the inner world, and that by mastering the unseen, they master the seen, drawing to themselves the conditions, people, and opportunities that bring the vision to life. They affirm daily, visualize constantly, act with purpose, and remain grateful, knowing that these combined forces create an unstoppable momentum, a current of divine energy that carries them effortlessly toward the fulfillment of their highest potential. Life presents challenges to every soul, yet the mark of a true champion is not the absence of difficulty, but the ability to transform every obstacle into a stepping stone toward higher achievement. The universe is governed by a divine law, a law that mirrors the thoughts, beliefs, and intentions of each individual. When a challenge appears, it is not an enemy to defeat, but a teacher to embrace, a signal that there is an opportunity for growth, refinement, and expansion. Every difficulty carries within it a hidden blessing, and the champion learns to perceive beyond the apparent limitation to the lesson and the advantage concealed within. To encounter adversity is not a misfortune. It is a necessary experience that strengthens character, sharpens discernment, and illuminates the path to greater possibilities. The mind that sees obstacles as insurmountable is a mind focused on lack, limitation, and fear. The mind that sees them as stepping stones is aligned with faith, with divine intelligence, and with the infinite source of good that is always ready to provide guidance and solution. Champions understand that life is never a straight line, never a smooth path, and never a series of random events. Life unfolds according to a divine rhythm, a sacred order in which every challenge is orchestrated to awaken the latent potential of the soul. When one encounters difficulty, the first instinct is often resistance or complaint, yet these reactions only amplify the problem. The champion, however, meets every challenge with a mindset of curiosity, courage, and creativity. They ask, "What is this teaching me? How can I use this to rise higher?" They know that every trial is a portal, every difficulty a doorway through which they must pass to reach a higher plane of understanding and accomplishment. In moments of struggle, the champion recalls that their inner world is the primary determinant of outer circumstances. If fear, doubt, or despair takes hold, the obstacle grows larger and more formidable. If faith, confidence, and vision are maintained, the obstacle diminishes in magnitude and becomes manageable, even helpful. This understanding is not mere optimism, it is the recognition of a spiritual law. What is focused upon expands, and what is interpreted in alignment with divine order becomes a vehicle for growth. Every champion has learned that obstacles are never permanent, that resistance is never required, and that surrender to the wisdom behind the challenge brings clarity, insight, and opportunity. The act of turning obstacles into stepping stones begins with perception. The champion trains themselves to see beyond the surface appearance of difficulty to the hidden benefit waiting to be revealed. They recognize that a closed door is often a sign pointing toward a more abundant opportunity, that a rejection is often a redirection, and that apparent failure is often a preparation for a greater triumph. They do not allow circumstances to dictate their emotional state or diminish their sense of possibility. Instead, they hold an inner vision of success, allowing that vision to guide their decisions, actions, and thoughts. In every challenge, the champion asks, "What is the gift here? What advantage can I claim?" By seeking the hidden blessing, they align themselves with the principle that the universe supports those who see with spiritual eyes, those who understand that difficulty is never final, and that every setback contains the seeds of a higher achievement. Patience becomes a natural companion in this process. The champion does not expect immediate resolution or instant understanding. They trust that the divine law is at work, orchestrating events in perfect timing. They continue to affirm, visualize, and act with purpose, knowing that the unfolding of each step is part of a larger plan that leads inexorably to their ultimate goal. Courage is essential in this transformation of obstacles. A challenge cannot be converted into a stepping stone without the willingness to confront it, to face it honestly, and to take inspired action despite uncertainty. The champion does not avoid difficulty. They engage with it intelligently and boldly, knowing that fear only magnifies the apparent problem. Faith, vision, and courage together create an unstoppable force that turns resistance into progress, problems into opportunities, and challenges into milestones on the path of personal and spiritual achievement. Gratitude amplifies this process. By giving thanks for the lessons embedded in every difficulty, the champion strengthens their alignment with the law of life and opens themselves to receive guidance, solution, and abundance. Gratitude transforms the emotional energy surrounding obstacles, from frustration to empowerment, from despair to inspiration, and from limitation to expansion. Every step taken in faith, every lesson embraced with understanding, and every challenge met with courage contributes to the creation of a life that is not merely successful in the worldly sense, but rich in wisdom, resilience, and fulfillment. The champion also recognizes that obstacles are never entirely personal. They are often part of a greater unfolding, a universal plan designed to awaken potential in ways that are unseen but deeply meaningful. By interpreting difficulties in the context of a higher purpose, they gain perspective, maintain peace of mind, and cultivate the discernment necessary to navigate life with grace and effectiveness. Flexibility becomes another key principle. The champion understands that rigid thinking or inflexible action often exacerbates challenges. By remaining adaptable, open to inspiration, and willing to adjust their approach, they are able to convert even the most stubborn obstacle into an avenue for advancement. They do not resist the flow of life. They work with it, using every circumstance as a lever to lift themselves higher. The champion's attitude toward obstacles is one of empowerment. They do not play the victim or assign blame. They take full responsibility for their thoughts, their words, and their actions, recognizing that by doing so, they reclaim their power and create conditions for success. Accountability, self-mastery, and alignment with truth become the tools through which challenges are transmuted into stepping stones. Every champion develops a keen awareness of the spiritual dimension of life. They know that material success is always preceded by inner victory, that every external problem mirrors an inner lesson, and that the true conquest is over fear, doubt, and limitation within themselves. By cultivating inner strength, by maintaining unwavering faith, and by keeping their vision clear and inspiring, they are able to walk through difficulties with dignity, courage, and purpose. The art of transforming obstacles into stepping stones is a dynamic process. It involves continual observation, reflection, and refinement. The champion consistently evaluates their reactions, identifies limiting beliefs, and replaces them with empowering thoughts and affirmations. They recognize that the mind is the creative instrument of life, and by mastering their inner world, they master the outer conditions. They affirm daily that every challenge is a blessing, every difficulty a teacher, and every apparent setback a setup for a greater opportunity. This affirmation is not a hollow statement. It is a declaration that tunes the soul to the frequency of divine intelligence, enabling solutions, opportunities, and ideas to flow effortlessly. The champion also understands the importance of persistence. Obstacles may not vanish instantly, but through consistent alignment with vision, faith, and inspired action, they gradually dissolve or transform into stepping stones that elevate the individual to new heights. Persistence is not stubbornness. It is the steady, disciplined application of principles, guided by wisdom, supported by faith, and reinforced by a clear understanding of the divine law at work in every situation. Compassion and humility become natural companions on this journey. By remaining humble, the champion acknowledges that they are part of a greater whole, that life unfolds according to principles that surpass individual understanding, and that every obstacle contains a lesson meant not only for themselves, but also for the collective good. By approaching challenges with humility, they open themselves to guidance, insight, and inspiration that might otherwise be overlooked. The process of turning obstacles into stepping stones is continuous and lifelong. It is a practice of awareness, intention, and conscious choice. The champion never becomes complacent, never assumes that life will always be easy, and never underestimates the power of perception, belief, and action. They understand that each moment is an opportunity to transform difficulty into growth, fear into courage, and limitation into expansion. In this way, the The champion builds not only success, but character, wisdom, and an inner reservoir of strength that becomes the true legacy of a life lived in alignment with the principles of divine intelligence, faith, and conscious creation. The legacy of a champion is not measured by material possessions, titles, or accolades, but by the enduring influence they leave upon the hearts and minds of others, the inspiration they awaken, and the principles they embed in the lives they touch. A true champion recognizes that life is a continuum of energies, actions, and intentions, and that what they contribute to the world reverberates far beyond the immediate moment, shaping circumstances, choices, and destinies for generations. The foundation of a timeless legacy is rooted in the understanding that every word spoken, every act undertaken, and every thought cultivated has the power to create, heal, and uplift. Champions consciously align their inner life with the highest principles, knowing that the external world inevitably reflects the state of the inner consciousness. They understand that their purpose is not to accumulate recognition for themselves alone, but to serve as conduits of inspiration, courage, and divine guidance. When a champion dedicates their life to elevating others, they establish a ripple effect, a series of vibrations that extend outward, touching lives they may never directly encounter. Each act of kindness, each moment of integrity, each demonstration of resilience becomes a beacon, illuminating the path for those who are seeking direction, hope, and encouragement. The essence of a timeless legacy lies in influence rather than control. Champions do not impose their will upon others, but instead empower them to recognize their own potential, awaken their own strengths, and claim their own victories. They understand that the highest form of leadership is that which cultivates independence, confidence, and self-belief in others. By modeling faith, courage, and unwavering commitment to truth, the champion plants seeds of possibility in every life they touch, knowing that these seeds will germinate according to the unique timing, experiences, and choices of each individual. A timeless legacy is also built upon consistency. Small, deliberate, and repeated acts of integrity, generosity, and inspiration accumulate over time, forming a foundation that becomes unshakable. Champions understand that one extraordinary act alone cannot establish a legacy. It is the sustained alignment with principle, the continuous expression of character, and the unwavering dedication to serving the highest good that leave a mark upon the world that endures. In creating a legacy, the champion recognizes the value of influence over fame. They know that fame is fleeting, dependent upon external circumstances and the recognition of others, whereas influence is enduring, residing in the inspiration and transformation sparked in the hearts and minds of those touched. A word of encouragement spoken in a moment of doubt, a demonstration of courage in a time of fear, a gesture of compassion in an environment of hardship. These simple yet powerful acts often ripple farther than the most celebrated achievements. Awareness is central to the process of leaving a legacy. The champion cultivates mindfulness of every action, thought, and word, understanding that the vibrations they send forth are recorded in the collective consciousness. They avoid the trap of distraction or indulgence in negativity, focusing instead on creating resonance with truth, love, and divine purpose. Through this intentionality, they ensure that their influence strengthens rather than diminishes, that it uplifts rather than obstructs, and that it contributes to the evolution of those who encounter it. A timeless legacy is inextricably linked to the development of character. Champions know that it is not wealth, skill, or recognition alone that endures, but the qualities of courage, integrity, faith, and compassion. They understand that challenges, failures, and triumphs alike are all opportunities to cultivate these virtues, and that the manner in which they navigate each experience defines the impression they leave upon others. The depth of a champion's legacy is further magnified by their ability to inspire faith in the unseen. By embodying the principle that belief in goodness, truth, and infinite possibility is the force that shapes reality, they awaken this understanding in others, teaching by example that the highest victories are those of the spirit rather than of circumstance. The champion's life becomes a living testament to the power of faith, vision, and alignment with divine law. And this testimony serves as a guide, a reassurance, and a call to courage for those who witness it. Gratitude is a vital component of a legacy that endures. Champions consistently express appreciation for the opportunities, relationships, and circumstances that shape their journey. This gratitude radiates outward, influencing those around them, and becomes a model for cultivating an attitude of abundance, acceptance, and joy. By giving thanks for life itself, for every challenge, and for the success that comes, they inspire others to recognize the blessings inherent in their own paths. The legacy of a champion also includes the empowerment of future generations. They recognize that their influence is not limited to their immediate circle, but extends to those who will follow, consciously or unconsciously inspired by their example. Every decision made with integrity, every act of generosity, every demonstration of courage plants a seed of possibility in the lives of others, contributing to the ongoing evolution of human potential. Champions are aware of the impermanence of material achievements and the lasting nature of spiritual influence. They understand that the power of a life well lived is measured not by what is accumulated but by what is transmitted, not by what is consumed but by what is shared, not by fleeting accolades but by enduring inspiration. Their focus shifts from self-centered accomplishment to soul-centered contribution, recognizing that a life aligned with purpose inevitably leaves a legacy that transcends time and circumstance. The act of leaving a legacy requires vision, intentionality, and a deep awareness of the consequences of thought, word, and action. Champions consciously cultivate a life that reflects the highest ideals, ensuring that every decision aligns with principles that uplift, guide, and inspire. They understand that even the smallest actions, when performed with integrity and purpose, resonate beyond the immediate moment, creating a tapestry of influence that strengthens the world for those who follow. Compassion becomes a guiding principle in the creation of legacy. Champions do not hoard wisdom, courage, or insight. They share freely, understanding that generosity of spirit amplifies influence and deepens the impact of their presence. By assisting others to rise, by nurturing potential, and by encouraging self-belief, they extend the reach of their legacy in ways that cannot be measured by conventional standards. Faith is the silent cornerstone of all enduring legacies. The champion trusts in the invisible order of life, recognizing that the outcomes they influence are supported by universal intelligence, and that every effort aligned with divine law contributes to a larger pattern of good. This trust allows them to act with confidence, inspire with authenticity, and create influence that is both powerful and lasting. A timeless legacy is also rooted in courage, the courage to live according to principle, the courage to speak truth, the courage to act in the face of adversity, and the courage to maintain vision when circumstances are uncertain. By consistently choosing integrity over convenience, truth over comfort, and service over self-interest, the champion establishes a standard of excellence that becomes a guiding light for others to follow. Every champion realizes that life is a series of opportunities to contribute, to elevate, and to inspire. By embracing the responsibility of influence, by living in alignment with their highest ideals, and by expressing the qualities they wish to see manifested in the world, they ensure that their legacy is not only enduring, but also transformative. Their presence becomes a catalyst, awakening courage, faith, and vision in those who encounter it, and their life serves as a roadmap, showing that greatness is not a matter of circumstance, but of alignment with principle, purpose, and divine law. In cultivating a timeless legacy, the champion also learns the power of silence and restraint, understanding that influence does not always require loud demonstration. The quiet act of integrity, the unheralded service, the subtle expression of wisdom, all these accumulate over time to create a resonance that touches far more lives than can be immediately perceived. Every interaction, no matter how small, carries the potential to leave a lasting impression, and the champion attends to this awareness with mindfulness and care. In the creation of a legacy, the champion integrates all dimensions of life, thought, word, deed, and spirit into a coherent expression of purpose. They recognize that true influence arises when inner alignment meets outward action, when faith is coupled with initiative, and when compassion guides decision-making. This holistic approach ensures that the legacy they leave is multifaceted, rich, and enduring, capable of inspiring, guiding, and uplifting for generations to come.